Okay, so my dough is ready to do some pre-shaping. The first thing we're going to do, step one, basically, so this would be like if you had your dough bulk ferment overnight. Mine actually bulk fermented during the day today. I made my dough this morning early, and then now it's about dinner time and my dough is really ready at this point. It might be kind of hard to tell from this angle, but it is looking really good. So what I'm gonna do is basically grab the dough from the sides. I wet my hand and I'm just pulling it away from the sides because right now it's stuck, you know, to the side of the bowl. So I'm just gonna slowly go around in a circle. You can see these bubbles, look at that. It is looking really nice. And you don't wanna like let out all the gas. You don't want to degas this. We want to keep all those bubbles that are in here going. So I have kind of pulled this away from the sides. I'm going to wet my hand one more time, or both my hands, and I'm just going to grab it from the middle a little bit and lift it up and do like this gentle fold, kind of pulling it and then pulling it forward and letting it relax. I'm going to do that again. Okay, see how it's kind of folded over on top of itself? I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to turn the bowl and do that again. So from the other sides, I'm going to lift it from the center gently. Put my hands under it. And at this point, there's some more tension. It's not letting me pull it as much, which is fine. It's not going to pull as high. So I have my hands under it and I'm folding it on top of itself. And so now what I'm going to do is let it rest for a minute. And then I am going to come back and start the pre-shaping. And I'll do the pre-shaping right here on my board. What I'm going to do is, in the meantime, while I'm letting it rest, I'm going to flour my banneton. So I don't have to have this cover in here. You can do it without. A lot of time, most of the time I do it without. As you can see, it's really well used. Now you just put the rice flour in there. This time I don't want that design from the basket, so I'm using my cover. I'm gonna flour the inside of this. I'm also gonna flour my board because we're gonna do our pre-shaping here, and I'm gonna use a bench scraper for that. So let me grab my rice flour. Oops, as I drop something. So I just use this kind. Bob's Red Mill is the brand, but whatever works for you. And I'm just gonna generously flour this. If you feel like you need to, you could slightly mist this. Like if you have a spray bottle, mist it with a little bit of water so it's damp. You don't want it wet though. You have to be real careful if you're gonna do it this way. You could dampen it a little bit and then put the flour in, because then the flour would stick everywhere. Mostly it's just gonna kind of sit in the bottom here, but I do try to wipe some up on the sides. When I put the loaf in here, I'm gonna make sure that I put some more flour on the sides of the bread loaf so that it doesn't stick here. Even if it sticks, it's okay. This thing peels right off. And then on my board, you could use rice flour here as well, but a lot of times I'll just put all-purpose flour. Really, whatever flour you have is fine. I like to keep one of these handy so that I can just sprinkle it whenever I'm making biscuits or when I'm doing my pre-shaping. Right now it's empty, so I'm just grabbing some from the all-purpose bag. There we go. Now, I need my bench scraper. Oh, where did that go? Here it is. Here, and now we're gonna grab our dough and put it on the board. So it's slightly stuck, but it pulls away pretty easy at this point since we had just done that. stretch and fold thing. So I'm just kind of pulling it away, and then I'm going to plop it on the board. Okay. So what we want to do here, kind of let it relax for a second on the board, but then we're going to just fold it. So the bottom right now is going to be not sticky because it's stuck to it's got flour on the bottom, right? I'm going to grab a little extra flour. Just going to put it on the sides for the moment, on the corner, on the edges. But this part is sticky, so when I touch it, you can see it sticks to my finger. So what we want to do is cover that stickiness. So I'm going to take the bottom, sort of stretch it out a little bit. You don't want to stretch too much, but I mean, you're just going to pull forward and then flip to the middle. Okay, so you can see this is just halfway folded over. I'm going to do that again from the other side. Take this, and these bubbles, don't pop them, just leave them in there, okay? We are going to bring this over to the middle, okay? And then you don't have to tuck these sides in at this moment. You could just pinch them right here. I like to try different things each time. Right now I'm gonna fold them over to the middle and fold over again. So now we have this, and we're gonna flip it, okay? And what we're gonna do is take the bench scraper at hold it at an angle like this. See how it's not on the bottom? I'm holding it at an angle, and I'm pushing it. I'm kind of pushing it from bottom to the top right corner, and it keeps turning. As you can see, he's moving all the way up there. You can bring him back down closer to you, and then do that again. And what this is doing is it's sort of creating some tension and forming a ball. We're pushing this bottom, we're kind of pushing it towards the center underneath, you know? And if you need to, you can use your left hand to kind of scoop and pull towards you a little bit. This helps with the tension. Okay, so then we're gonna let this sit, and then I'm gonna shape one more time. I'm gonna basically do this again, and then move it to my banneton. For time's sake, since we're doing a video, I'm just going to, do this again. I'm going to kind of see what the ends look like underneath. Not see, I'm gonna feel, make sure it feels like it's seamed. So if it doesn't feel like it's seamed really well, what I'm gonna do is pinch it at this point, pinch it, try to pinch it seamed if I can. Now that it's got flour on it though, it doesn't pinch as well. But this just helps a little bit. Now sometimes I don't do this bench scraper technique with the pulling and the tension. Sometimes what I do is I just do the stretch and pulls here and fold it over, and I basically pinch and seam it right in this bowl and then move it directly into this, okay? So sometimes I don't even use this board. So there's all different ways you can do your bread, and when I do it the other way, it totally turns out great. I'm gonna flip this guy back over, and I'm gonna do the whole tension thing one more time. Get this to be in a nice round shape, and I might need to add a little flour to my tool here. Now another way to do this, some people like to put water on. So you'll put water on your counter and just sprinkle it on and then put the dough on. So without using flour, you can do this same technique with your hands with a slightly wet surface. That works too, or the flour is fine. So there's different ways to do it. So once you feel like you have a great shape, you don't want to mess with it too much. At least I don't think so. I don't want to ruin the loaf, right? So I think side felt a little sticky. Flour there. I think we're ready to move it. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to make sure I have flour again on the sides, because as this goes into the fridge, into the Banneton, I don't want it to stick. So, whoops, I'm about to lose my phone. I'm going to just put the bench scraper underneath and transfer. And I usually put it seam side up. If you mess up and it's not seam side up and it's the other way around, that's totally fine. Guess what? I've baked bread like that before. It's no worries. So I'm going to put this in the fridge for at least an hour. When it comes out of the fridge, I'm going to place a piece of parchment paper right on top, and then I flip it over so that once it's on the parchment paper flipped over, I'm on the good side, and then I can score it right on the parchment paper, and then I grab the parchment paper with my hands, lift it right into my hot Dutch oven and bake it. So that's how I do it. Hopefully this video is helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I know this is not the most professional video, but I just wanted to show you this process, because I don't think I have done a part 2 basically on how to shape the bread.